This is the Hunt Starts Here podcast with your hosts, Justin and Nathan. On this first episode, we're joined by Mr. Chad Holmes from Midwest Whitetail. He jumps on the show with us and shares a lot of his hunting stories from across the country. I guess you could call him a seasoned professional in that world. He's also sharing with us a little bit about kind of his food plot strategy in the Southeast and how he is using and implementing the Stealth Pro line for his benefit. So really good conversation, I thought.
Yeah, for sure. Cool thing about Chad is he hunts in the Southeast, lives in Mississippi, hunts in all across the Midwest. So he's got a lot of knowledge on food plots and hunting. Had some really good conversation here, and I think you guys will learn a lot from this.
Yeah, stick around for the show. This is The Hunt Starts Here.
Welcome back to the Stealth Pro podcast. I'm Nathan Hood.
I'm Justin Henderson.
And today we have a very special guest, Mr. Chad Holmes with Midwest Whitetail. We're going to dive into a few topics, get to know Chad, and maybe you guys get to know us a little bit too. So, Chad, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been married 27 years, got 3 kids and a grandbaby.
Oh, wow.
Love the outdoors, live in central Mississippi here, and have been tied in with Midwest Whitetail since 2010. So,
Okay.
Just love the outdoors, love family, being a part of the outdoor space and the community and what it brings to conservation and what it brings to, to the future generations when it comes to the outdoors and conservation.
Yeah.
So, been pastoring since 2000. Let's see, I took my first church in 2004.
Okay.
So been pastoring as well.
Yeah.
Live a very busy life.
Yeah, I can tell.
Get a little bit of sleep, and there's an old saying: you can sleep when you die.
That's right.
We stay pretty busy, and just love to be able to take both of those worlds, that ministry aspect, those outdoors, and just kind of blend them together, and just love being a part of God's creation. So that's kind of me in a nutshell for the most part.
Well, that's awesome, man. I see a lot of small organizations nowadays doing the blending of the outdoor type stuff and the ministry as well. There's several around here that we do, but that's awesome, man. That's really cool. So Midwest Whitetail since when? 2004?
2010.
2010.
Yep,
Okay.
2010.
So 17 years now almost.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So funny, Bill Winkie started Midwest Whitetail in 2008. And then a couple years later, he decided he wanted to expand the brand. And so he created these regional shows. And so basically he had like a Heartland show, a Southeast show, so just basically began to build these regions across the country and build like an internal pro staff for the brand. And one Sunday night after church, I came home and that's, back then we didn't have YouTube and things like that. So he actually did a semi-live video on his website.
Oh, wow.
And then so Sunday nights after church, I'd come home, watch them, and just kind of see, what was happening in the Midwest, because I had a farm in Illinois, hunted in Missouri, and some of the other states in the Midwest. So I tried to utilize Bill's knowledge to kind of keep up with what was going on. So I came in that Sunday night after church and began to watch it on the website. And then he, at the end of the episode, he said, "Hey man, we're looking to expand into the Southeast." And he said, "If you have an interest, send me an email and, we'll kind of just see what happens and go from there." Well, I thought, man, this is awesome. So, I got on there, typed up an email, told him a little bit about myself. And I thought, well, there's probably 10,000 people who's, wanting to be a part of this.
Right.
So I'm not going to be shocked if he don't respond.
Right.
And then like 10 minutes later, he responded and he was like, "Hey,
Wow.
man, that's great." He said, "Can you put together a little video and, send it to me and let me just kind of see, what you do, kind of your understanding of what it takes to, as far as videography goes." And
I got you.
And so I did. I got up the next morning at daylight, man. I recorded that thing and overnighted it. And, just a couple of days later, he called me back and said, "Hey, man, I think you got what we're looking for. So we'd like you, kind of be like part of the, sort of like almost like an exploratory deal. Like,
Gotcha.
We're going to bring you in as like an intern pro staff, kind of developmental.
Yeah.
And let's see how it goes." So we went through like July, sent in our first batch of footage. He called me back, like, "Man, you're good to go. We want to bring you on. Here's here's the products we're using," and kind of filled me in on what needed to happen. And then, as Paul Harvey says, now you know the rest of the story.
Yeah.
So fast forward to about 6 years ago, and Bill sold out There was a group that came in and ended up buying Midwest Whitetail, and one of the new investors of the brand came to me and asked if I'd be interested in coming to work for them full time, and we built a really good friendship. And I turned it down the first go round, and then a year later we circled back up, and he offered me the position again, and so I ended up taking it and been with them ever since. And so now, I kind of handle the back end stuff. I handle like all the partnerships and, the financial side of things. And then we've got a really, really good team. Josh Sparks, we were able to hire Josh back a couple years ago. So he kind of handles all our day-to-day stuff, the operations stuff that goes on. He's responsible for overseeing the production and those kinds of things. Then we've got Ryan, Gavin, who are also part of the team, who are handling, those things that you all get to watch, see, and experience every single week. And then we just hired 2 of our new last year's interns. We just hired those guys and brought them on board. So we're excited to add, those guys to the team. And then a new development that took place a year ago was Mike Reed ended up buying everybody out. So now Mike Reed is the sole owner of Midwest Whitetail. So, man, it's been great. Bill really laid an awesome foundation, and then you fast forward from 2008 to 2026, and just to watch the brand evolve and see this next generation of guys stepping up and taking Midwest Whitetail to a whole new level has been awesome. And, just the cinematic, semi-live, approach to the series, whether it be, Chasing November or what we do throughout the season with our Monday episodes and our regional team it's just been phenomenal. So we're excited about the future and really excited about where the brand's headed as a whole.
Yeah, that's really cool. The Chasing November series was awesome. I watched all that this year, man. There was some really good footage in that. Just how many different states were in that series?
I would be scared to say, but I would say over 10 states for sure is in that 10. Series. We've got guys spread all across the country. And, so what we try to do is take our best documented stories throughout the previous season and incorporate that into Chasing November. And Gavin, he works so hard to get that series put together. And matter of fact, they just got back from laying the outline out for this upcoming season's Chasing November this past week. So it's going to be another really, really good good season. So I'm excited for you guys to see that and be able to experience that with us.
You mentioned you sending your footage in and stuff to him, and when Bill sent you that email and stuff, it was a lot of people don't realize, hunting's hard enough to go kill a mature deer or a turkey without the camera equipment or a cameraman. That adds a whole nother layer into it.
It is. Not only do you have to, I'll just say this. I've had 2 opportunities over the last 10 years to kill 2 bucks over 200 inches, and we're not able to kill those deer because we could not get them on camera. And that'll make you read. You better love it. That's all I can say. You better love what you're doing. Yeah. But it's not just that aspect. I mean, you're talking about double the scent. You've got 2 stands in a tree instead of 1 stand. There's just so much that does really go into it. And but to be able to document those stories, I started filming my kids when they were 4 and 5 years old, and now to be able to go and watch them there. My youngest is 18. And then my oldest she's 25, and being able to go watch them when they were kids, to be able to experience that all over again, and then their kids to be able to see it as well. Yeah. It's worth it in the long run for me.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a lot. It's a lot of extra work that goes into it, a lot of extra planning. You got to get there earlier because you got to set up equipment. You got to make sure everything's just right because, you might only have 3 to 5 second window to get that shot.
That's right.
So it is a lot that goes into it, but we're excited to be able to do it. We know we're blessed to have the opportunity to do it and be able to put out shows like Chasing November, our weekly shows to try to get that content out there and to do it at that level. Is something that we take a lot of pride in. Over it.
It's a really good product. I mean, all the videos I've seen are awesome.
We appreciate that. Yeah. We appreciate the support.
Yeah. You mentioned getting kids in hunting. They started. How old were your kids when they started?
They were about 4. I think Kaysen, my youngest, killed his first deer at 4, and then I think Kobe was 5, and I think Callie was 7 when she killed her first one. So we started them early. It's and I tell people all the time, one thing that I wished I would have done different was I wished I wouldn't have been so serious with my kids, you know, because I'm a competitive person as it is. I was just raised that way. I played sports, you know, got drafted out of high school to play baseball. I mean, it was just one of those things. It was just in me. And so when I started hunting and taking my kids hunting, it was that same mindset. Like everything has to be perfect. We got to do it just right. And I regret that because, you know, there come a point in time, especially with my daughter, she was like, I don't think I want to go. And I'm like, well, why don't you want to go? I just don't. And then, you know, as she got older, she just said, it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
So my encouragement to any parent who's taking your kids hunting, pack the M&Ms, pack the iPad, do whatever you have to do just so that they can get out there and enjoy it.
Right.
Because as they get older, they do begin to understand why you do the things you do and that it's so much more than just shooting an animal.
Yeah.
It's, you know, you become a land manager, you become a conservationist, you know, you're putting just as much or more back in than you're getting out. But we're doing that so that they have an opportunity to grow up doing it and their kids have an opportunity to grow up and do it. You know, so I would just encourage any parent or anybody who wants to take kids hunting, make it fun until they get old enough to really begin to comprehend why we're doing the things that we're doing.
That's probably the best advice we'll get today.
Yeah, you bet.
That's good stuff.
You bet.
A couple of things you mentioned there, you know, land management and conservation, putting back into it what you take out. I think it's our responsibility as conservationists to leave it better than we found it. Mm-hmm. That's something that I was taught from an early age, you know, from people in the industry and my dad and an uncle and brother as well. Is it's really our responsibility. I mean, this land is here and we've got it for however long we've got it, decades, years, whatever that may be. And it's our responsibility year after year to leave it better than we found it and take care of what we got because they don't make land no more.
That's a fact.
So
that is a fact.
Well, how many states are you headed to for spring turkey?
Oh, man. Well, we've got Florida, Texas, Mississippi, Alabama, Missouri, Illinois, and Iowa for sure.
Oh, wow.
There's a chance we may hit South Dakota. I'm not sure yet, but that's plenty to keep us busy.
So you got the possibility of getting a slam this year?
Yeah, I usually try to get the slam every year if possible.
Okay, yeah.
So,
how many years have you done it?
A few.
Nice.
Yeah, quite a few. So
more than me. I'm a whopping goose egg there.
Really?
Yeah.
0.
Well, we need to change that.
We do.
Yeah.
I've never hunted turkeys outside of Georgia, I don't think. Maybe I have in Alabama, actually,
Okay.
a couple times. That doesn't technically count because I live so close to it, but yeah.
Well, we'll get you to Mississippi for sure.
Hey, we can do that.
We can get you in Illinois.
Yes,
but
sir.
of course, those are Easterns. But we need to try to get you up around South Dakota, Wyoming, get you on a Merriam.
Nice.
And then, of course, get a Rio in Texas.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
The South Dakota experience is unlike anything I've seen.
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome, man. I love
You hunt
it.
down here, these birds that get called to twice every morning.
Yeah.
And you go up there and it's just hundreds of birds in fields and like they've never seen humans before.
No, it is. It's the best place to take a first-time turkey hunt.
I agree
if
with
you
that.
know, if you want to try to introduce somebody to turkey hunting, if you can get them up there around South Dakota, you know, the reservation. We've always been able to hunt the reservation. We got some friends there that guide, but yeah, it's an awesome experience up there for sure.
Yeah, it is. I've been up there with some other people that were hunting. I didn't get to hunt on the trip, but yeah, it was. I mean, just a massacre of how many turkeys we saw and were able to harvest. But
yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And of course, South Florida is awesome now. The Osceola bird, that's the meanest, aggressive bird you're gonna hunt. I mean, it's awesome. They see a decoy or a Jake decoy, or you put that avian X strutter out there with a hen, he's coming. I mean, they like to fight, you know.
With them being a little bit more aggressive, does that make them? I mean, does it make them harder or easier to call to? If that makes sense.
I honestly think it's easier. I mean, they're tough birds to hunt, depending on the circumstance. Like if you're hunting public land, South Florida, again, like a lot of other places, it gets pressured. You know, they get educated. You know, they get smart real quick.
Yeah.
But if you're able to find a private, a piece that you can hunt that doesn't have the pressure, I feel like it plays to your advantage for sure. Just because they are so aggressive.
They ready.
They are.
Yeah.
They're ready. They have a different attitude.
Yeah.
I will say that.
those Osceolas have the hooks to back it up too.
They do.
I mean,
They do.
Showing off hooks.
Yeah, we
So,
went. I had an opportunity to take both boys with me last year to South Florida, and Kobe actually killed My middle child, oldest son, he ended up killing one with 1.5 inches, but he didn't have a fantail. Have you ever seen a turkey that didn't have a fan?
I have not.
Yep.
Wow.
And well, at first we thought maybe like one of the panthers or something had caught him, or bobcat or something like that. But the taxidermist said that where the joint was looked like it just never grew.
Just a genetic deal. Wow.
And my buddy that owned the place, he was like, nobody ever wanted to shoot him because, he didn't have a fan. And I'm like, so how long have he been running around? And he's like, at least 4 or 5 years. I said, he's going to have some hooks. So Kobe was able to shoot him, but yeah, it was awesome. And then of course Kaysen killed one, and I think he had 1.25 inches or something like that. But yeah, they do. They have the hooks.
They have some
down there
spurs.
for sure.
Sure do.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, let's talk about food plots a little bit.
All right.
I know this year, maybe last year, you had a little bit of experience with our Stealth Pro drills. What kind of food plots do you plant here in the Southeast?
So I like to do a boracic mixture. I like I love the turnips, the rape, anything with a leaf on it, I think, is good, especially, and I'm going to tell you why here in Mississippi I like that. Because we've been legalized now to feed corn.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of people, which I don't agree with, a lot of people have abandoned the food plot mentality to fill feeders with corn or some kind of whatever. There's a million different brands out there that you can put in that feeder. And I think it's hurting our population as far from a nutrition standpoint. Our deer herds are not getting, I think, what they used to get when we could not feed legally. And so I like to get as much nutrients in those food plots as I can. So we'll do, winter peas in there as well. We'll do, of course, other things, your rye and your wheat and your oats as well. But I like the leaf. I like the forage type greenery when it comes to my food plots. But the reason I do that again is for the nutrition.
Yeah.
And what I've seen is like with where I hunt at, my neighbors, I get a lot of their deer now because they're just doing just troughs or some kind of gravity feeder or spin feeders or whatever, and I'm seeing that those deer are really finding themselves having our property become their home and their bedding because of those food sources and that nutrition that they're not getting anywhere else. And I say that to say, I think it's so important that we don't abandon food plots, that we actually embrace them more. And I think if you really want to be successful in the deer woods, especially down south, where we don't have the cropland like you have in the Midwest, you don't get, and there are pockets here and there that do still farm, but like where I'm at, it's pine trees. Nothing but pine trees. And so to be able to have as many food plots as possible and give a variety. I mean, to each his own, whatever he wants to plant. But, whether that be peas or turnips or radishes or whatever it is you decide to plant, I think don't abandon that, because I think at the end of the day, you're going to be more successful in the deer woods by having the food plot than not having the food plot.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I just think, again, it's legal to feed here. I'm not against that. I'm not trying to tell anybody how to hunt. But from my personal perspective, I almost wish they would do away with feeding corn.
Yeah.
Off season, if you want to do it before deer season comes in to get pictures or just get an inventory of kind of what you got. That's one thing. But I think, once season starts, I think that it would definitely be more beneficial for our deer herds if we didn't feed and we were forced to put in more food plots.
I completely agree with that, for sure. Yep. It's like going to a buffet and the only thing they got up there is French fries.
Exactly.
Deer want a variety. The brassicas, you get protein from the peas, like you mentioned, and carbs, which corn can be beneficial pre-rut for them to put on, and post-rut for carbs to help build some of that body weight back up that they lose during rut. But it's still, can you imagine going to eat just carbs all the time?
I could imagine. Yeah. But my pant size would change pretty frequently.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So very important. That's really good.
It's almost like it's going back to what you said a minute ago, kind of between the two, it's almost like the feeders and whatever may be in it, whether it's corn or whatever kind of mix people can put. It's like that's a convenience thing to them. But if they have a choice, and you've got a standing plot, 9 times out of 10, they're going to pick that. I mean, I think it goes back to, you was peddling at your place there in September. You planted that mix with them iron clay peas in it, and the feeder was sitting there with corn, hadn't been touched. Then peas were just
ravaged,
just demolished.
Yep. Especially those. My experience with the iron clay peas is they won't touch them at my place or barely touch them for a month. And they get to a certain point, I don't know if they pull something from the ground at a certain stage, but when they get there, they are gone in a heartbeat. So that'll be a staple at my place every year going forward.
Absolutely.
Had really good luck out of that. Like he said, they would leave a corn feeder to go eat peas.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. What about summer or spring plots? You do much of that?
Well, it really just depends. I like to, we got clover, of course, that we kind of we do our, now here, the frost seed, we kind of go ahead and get that out there and kind of really just depend on that. Occasionally I'll do beans or corn.
Right.
But mostly just let the clover do its thing, during the spring and then just kind of regroup. And as we head into deer season, we'll get into those fall plots.
I think clover is probably the most important thing you can put in a food plot. Yeah. I really do. Growing up here, you talk food plots, you talk going and throwing out a bag of ryegrass.
Right.
A little bit of fertilizer. Not much nutritional benefit out of that. With your cereal grains and your brassicas, there are, of course, but come spring or summer, most of those are gone. So clover can make it year-round, at least up until the brutal cold months of winter. So
right.
I think that's... And I think it was Grant Woods I heard say one time, there's 3 things your food plot should have to carry through every season of the year. A clover, a cereal grain, which will get you through the winter months as a feed source. And in the spring or the summer when it comes up and heads out, then you've got turkey food there to get you through the summer months. And then your brassicas also for the early winter as well. So,
yeah. Yeah, I think we're going to do some sorghum this year. I've got about a 7-acre power line that kind of runs through one of my pieces, and I think we're going to give it a shot and just kind of see. And, of course, that's where the Stealth Pro would come in for us,
right?
On that. And, we're excited to be able to just be my first year to try that on this particular place, so it'll be interesting to see how it turns out.
Yeah, the grain sorghum, it's I was going to do something at my place this year. I've got some just Pine Hill red clay ground. You probably got some down your place. Just ain't worth a crap for nothing. But that grain sorghum, as that plant matures and dies and goes back in the ground, it's supposed to be one of the best soil builders there is.
Right.
So, and it's really a hard crop to plant without getting it in the ground. It's not a throw and grow. It's really a drilled or a planted type seed where you're going to have success with that. So. Talking about your kids and people you've hunted with. I know you've hunted with some big names through the years. Who's your favorite hunting companion?
Oh, man. I don't have just one. Because if I just name one kid, the other two is going to be pretty upset.
We'll make some enemies quick.
Yeah, so I would definitely say my kids for sure. I've shared camp with a lot of awesome guys.
I'm sure.
And gals. It's been... been truly blessed to be able to experience some of the things we've experienced. And so I don't take those things for granted, but I wouldn't trade anything that I've experienced with my kids, watching them grow up and do it, and then just watching them develop into the hunters and land managers that they are. And, even my daughter, she being, a lot of times we think girls, they wear their pink and, they don't get their hands dirty or whatever. But my daughter, she's really turned into quite the hunter as well. And so just thinking about those memories, whether it's their first deer, first turkey, whatever the case may be. I think they're probably my favorite. Now I've got a new grandbaby, and I'm hoping that he turns into a deer hunter pretty soon. I mean, I want to take him out this weekend for turkey season, but
Right.
I don't think 6 months old is going to cut it. So,
probably not.
I'm looking forward to when he gets a little older, where I can take him.
Yeah.
But definitely my kids. I mean, it's an awesome thing. Again, like we talked about earlier, a bit to go back and watch those videos and where they started to where they are today. And it's cool because even now we'll sit down like turkey season and, we're talking about like what approach to, because, to hunting turkeys in Mississippi, and I know people are like, they always say that, but they are hard birds to hunt.
Yep.
Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, even North Florida, Georgia, them birds can be tough to hunt. And for us, we'll sit down and game plan, and then my boys will have these ideas that I didn't even think about, like, what if we went around this way, or what if we took this approach, and just watching them develop, and evolve into those hunters to where now I'm learning from them. Even though I've been doing it longer, Kobe can look at Onyx and say, this is going to be a good spot. You're going to kill a mature buck here. And I'm like, you got a good point. You're probably right about that.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that, And so watching that, and it all just kind of goes back to when we first started. So I guess as far as my favorite hunting partners, it'd definitely be my kids.
Yeah, I'd agree with that for sure. Yep. Growing up, of course, it was your dad or your uncle or your brother or whoever you got to hunt with. But, yeah, my daughter killed her first deer 2 years ago at 6, and she killed one last year at 7. And then my son killed his first deer at 6 this year. So
that's awesome.
It's good times. It's doesn't really matter what I kill anymore. I mean, I'd rather go see them kill a doe or anything, a little spike or whatever, as I had to go kill a big mature deer that I've been chasing. So
100%.
It changes your perspective.
It
your
does.
Priorities. Sure does.
It really does.
Yep. You mentioned Onyx. That's just one of the tools we have now. There's so many tools to hunt turkeys or deer or whatever it is that have come out in the last few years that we didn't have 10, especially 20 years ago. And I've heard the argument that it's made us worse woodmen, but I disagree with that. I think the more you can learn from an aerial map, it gives you a better approach when you actually get in the woods. I think it's made us better woodsmen.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah, if you use Onyx the way it's designed to be used, because, I mean, you got to spend some time in there because there are so many beneficial things. Those guys over there have done a phenomenal job putting that out together, and they're continuing to build and add new features. And but it is a game changer for us, for our team, how we hunt. And I agree, it has made us better. It has not, number one, it helps you because it speeds up the process.
Right.
Where if you go buy 100 acres of land, I'll just use 100 acres. That's a fairly decent size, but a small enough tract. But you got to go walk that 100 acres.
Yeah.
You got to blow everything out of there to see what's there. With Onyx, it saves that opportunity, that going in there and blowing out a buck that you didn't know you had, or whatever the case may be, or educating the herds, whatever. So yeah, I think it's definitely made us better hunters if you use it the way it's designed to be used.
I completely agree with that. I used to hunt up Missouri, public land on Mark Twain up in central Missouri. And without a map, I mean, you're going in blind to thousands of acres of public land, and you don't know what that terrain's like until you get in it. If you'd have had that where you can see the hill features and terraces and stuff and elevation, it's a complete game changer. So
yeah, I agree. And I mean, things like anything else. If you're gonna be lazy, you can be lazy. I mean, think about social media, right? Social media could be the best tool in the world, but in the wrong hands, it becomes the worst tool in the world. Yes, so exactly. I think it's just about the person as an individual. If you really want to be better, Onyx can help you be a better woodsman for sure.
Yeah.
I was telling Nathan, we was touching base there at the end of the season, and there's a little piece of 5,000 acre roughly piece of public ground in my county. I, was kind of telling him I'm gonna take the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season and just, dive in, and try to sharpen some woodsman skills up, because there's no service out there, so you can't run. You could run cameras, right? But I mean, hiking up the mountain every day to check cameras, I'll be the first to tell you I wasn't doing it. So, speaking on the Onyx, that's exactly what I did, is I spent, a couple of days just researching the property real well and, just went hunting. I mean, literally, I just kind of went in blind a couple places and set up. It didn't work, move, back around to this side, try again. And I learned more probably in those 2 to 3 weeks, just trying to get back and hone in those woodsmanship skills than I've probably learned in the past 2 or 3. I just kind of set my mind to it, and that part was rewarding. I mean, I didn't get anything on the ground. Saw some deer, found some deer finally a little bit, but it was really neat. We could all get back to that point. Kind of getting back to the basics of sharpening those woodsmanship skills, and I think the rest of it kind of takes care of itself.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's where it should always start myself. Long before you get in a deer stand, you need to be a good woodsman. You got to have some woodsmanship. And so I think that's where we should start. And then, again, that rolls into, okay, here's the terrain. This is why we're going to do this food plot, or this is why we're going to do this TSI, or this is why we're going to do these things. And I think you teach that first.
Yep.
And then you get into, okay, this is why we're going to hunt this wind. This is why we're going to, take this approach. Right. And then it just helps. It's more than just killing. And I think that, again, that goes back to whether you're really going to invest in it or not, be a lazy hunter, or you're going to be, it's like this. It's like cleaning the deer. Like, we've gotten to the point it's so easy to throw it in the back of the truck, drop it off, and we don't know why our kids can clean a deer at 20 years old or 18 years old or 15 years old. I was probably 9 or 10 when I cleaned my first deer.
Yep.
And my dad was like, okay, number one, if you shoot it, you're going to drag it out, or you're going to at least get it to where you can put it on a four-wheeler and get it to a truck, but you're going to clean the deer.
Yep.
And so I think, all of these things we're talking about, whether it's understanding the land or why you're doing the things you're doing on the land, all that is what's important to lead up to being able to harvest the animal and put food on the table. It's more than just buying a $2,000 bow or gun, going and shooting a deer that scores whatever, and that's another topic for another day. But just go out there and teach, because what happens if we lose internet? What happens if satellite goes down, we don't have cell phones anymore? Ain't gonna be, it's gonna be a different world. And I just feel like, again, we've got all these great resources. Let's utilize them. But as we utilize them, let's teach this next generation why we're doing the things that we're doing, so that they can be successful and can enjoy sitting at a deer camp or sitting at home around the table enjoying turkey nuggets or deer tenderloin on the grill or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I think it all starts with woodsmanship. Yeah. My personal opinion.
Completely agree. You can spend all the money you want, buy the best equipment there is. It doesn't make you a better hunter.
Exactly. So, no, exactly right.
Yep. And then, on the flip side of that, if you're going to spend the money on some of this stuff, if you've got the money to spend, it doesn't hurt to go buy a value-added equipment or a bow or camouflage, whatever it may be. You can go buy the cheapest stuff there is, but it is an investment,
100%.
Stuff we use, like I said, bow, gun, whatever it is. So, but yeah, two-sided sword there, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. And I do think you get what you pay for it in a lot of cases. You've got to make those investments. And I think about the Stealth Pro for an example. For me, that is one of the greatest investments, that you can make with the drill. Talking about food plots and having, good quality food plots. And, I've told people the reason that I'll always have a drill. And I love the Stealth Pro because it's a little bit lighter. It's a little bit more what I call hunter friendly than the regular 606T, right? And so with that being said, that's not just an investment for me.
Yeah.
That's an investment for my kids. Exactly. That's an investment for my grandchildren will be able to use the same drill that I'm using right now.
That's true.
Because of the quality. And if we're going to spend $2,000 a year on a bow and we're going to spend another $1,500 a year on camouflage, when you start looking at how long those investments, if you're changing that out every year and you can spend a little bit more and you can get a product like a drill that will last you for 3 or 4 generations, it's a no-brainer. And, I think about like hunting clubs down here. That's a big thing in the South is deer clubs or deer camps. You get 6,000 acres, 10,000 acres, 40 members. You could take your members and increase your dues 1 year by $100 or $200 per member, depending on your number of members. You can buy a drill for that club And you can have that from now on.
That's right.
And you talking about changing the quality of food plots and changing the nutrition value for your deer herd and turkey herds. I mean, it's just a game changer. So investment to me, that is one investment like that is at the top of the list.
Yes.
And I hope that people really understand that. And it not only is it the drill a good investment, it's also an opportunity to save your soil. And I get everybody has to do what they have to do. But when I first started out, it was a disc and you start disking up your soil year after year after year, you're killing that soil density, right?
That's right.
You're taking that nutrition out of that soil and those food plots are going to get worse and worse and worse. And then eventually it's like, okay, let's just put a feeder up.
Right.
But what that...
There the cycle starts.
Right. Where with that drill, you're not running into those problems, and you're seeing, not only is your food plots good, they're good every year.
Every year.
And before I started using drills, I never really understood the value until I got my first one.
Same.
And then it was like, you have got to be kidding me.
Right.
And
I mean, came up
exactly, and it's this high, And one of the things, and I'll just throw this out there since we're talking about food plots and drilling, but one of the things that I like to do, and I know a lot of people spray, kill, burn, and then disc, or not disc, but drill their food plots. What I started doing that's worked really well for me, because if you noticed the last probably, I'm going to say 8 to 10 years, we don't get the moisture and the rain, it seems like, that we used to get leading into those fall food plot seasons.
Right.
And so what I started doing is I drill in the grass, go ahead and drill it. And then I come back with a bush hog and bush hog probably about this high and create that grass bed. And then the high humidity, especially down here,
keeps that moisture.
It traps the humidity and the moisture. And in those dry weeks, sometimes months, there's enough moisture there to keep that seed to soil contact like it needs to be. And our food plots come up when nobody else food plots come up because of that. So that was just one of the things that we've saw that has really worked for us down here. And we started implementing it like in Illinois the last couple years, and it's really worked well for us there as well. But again, you couldn't do that if you didn't have the drill.
Exactly.
Right.
Because you would have to turn it up with a disc. And anyway, long story short, I think that's another good tool that a lot of people don't think about, that the drill, it gives you an opportunity to do things like that to continue to make sure you've got those good food plots, as you go into the fall season.
Right. Yeah, the best food plot I had this year was that exact scenario. Planted it, clipped the grass, let it lay on top of it, hold that moisture in. Sun couldn't get to the ground and kill it. And moisture retention is a big advantage of a drill.
Yes.
Especially the Southeast. It's probably been drought conditions for the last 3 or 4 years. Every fall, every August, September, October.
It gets dry.
It's been brutal.
It really has.
It has.
So that's one of the main advantages to having a drill over broadcast. So, and then, another thing is being able to plant a summer or spring plot that helps you when your fall plots come along. A clover that puts nitrogen back in the ground.
Yep.
That way when you plant your cereal rye that need that nitrogen, then it's already been fed.
You're ahead of the ball game.
Right.
Already.
Right.
Yeah, fertilizer cost, seed cost, or half of what they could have been.
Yes.
If you're disking and broadcasting like everybody's done in the past. So.
Speaking of the broadcasting thing, just real quick as an example, because we'll get hit with questions sometimes, what's really the difference? And it's like, well, if you dumb it down as simple as it can be, take broadcasting seed versus drilling seed. Let's just take broadcasting as an example. Like you're talking about, seed's getting more expensive. It's all going up. You've spent the money on the seed. And if you go out there and broadcast it, how much of a percentage of that seed is going to be lost from incorrect seed to soil contact, predation, if it rains a whole bunch, if we get one of those random, preseason rains, how much is that's going to wash out, of your area. So you kind of got to quantify those deals, as far as, okay, if I'm going to spend this much money, then I'm expecting, X result out of it. And that I try to tell people that, when I get asked those questions, as far as benefits, from one versus the other. And it's like, well, if you're going to spend the money, then let's make sure we're going to spend it in the right way, so that we're still going to achieve, our end goal we're looking for.
Yeah.
So,
not to mention the turkeys and the doves and every other bird that comes through there and scratches.
You might have a great
it.
dove shoot, but
Absolutely.
you ain't no food plot.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, the deer don't want to eat the same thing that doves eat.
Right.
For sure.
Right.
Big plan I've got this year, and this is just me brainstorming, but dove field, sunflowers, grain sorghum to help build the soil for the doves. And then as that dies, I can come in, clip that straight down, and drill deer plots right
Absolutely.
into it. So,
Absolutely.
without ever having to turn the ground over. One pass, you're done. And with the small seed box, you can split your seed up, plant your big seed, whether it's peas or cereal, rye in the front, and then your clovers and brassicas in the back. It's such an advantage. There's some really good seed blends out there, but by the time you go buy the seed separate, you could buy, 2 or 3 more times the seed as buying these blends.
Right.
And sometimes the blends are the way to go. If you're planting a little 1/8 acre plot, then why go buy bulk?
Right.
So putting, a blended seed into one of those little hand spreaders and walking around, the more you walk, the more that small seed's going to the bottom. And
Yeah.
eventually you're spreading all your brassicas or clovers or whatever in one spot,
Exactly.
and all your big seed over the next part. So, yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Well, good deal. Well, Chad, anything else you got? Anything you want to plug?
Oh, I could sit here and talk for days.
Yeah.
But no, I just appreciate the opportunity, really do, and just excited about the upcoming season. And, again, very thankful for Great Plains and, what they mean to our team. And we know we couldn't do what we do without them. And so thank you guys for what you do each and every day. And, I will say this, I will plug Great Plains, not because I'm getting a paycheck or anything like that, but because I've dealt with these guys, for multiple years now, and the customer service, not just the product itself, but the people, the customer service that is offered. I would just encourage anybody that's thinking about, that investment.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
Who are you getting it with?
Exactly. Don't cut yourself short by trying to find a cheaper drill.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like, it's like anything else. You're going to get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And why not go with the people that's got the roadmap? My daddy told me a long time ago, if you're going to work with somebody, you work with somebody that's already been there and done that and has the roadmap to prove it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what Great Plains is when it comes to drills and comes to, just conservation, land management. And so it's not just a great product. It's got great people behind it. And so, I'm thankful for the opportunity today to sit down with you guys and just excited about what 2026 has in store for all of us. So.
Well, that's
Me too.
awesome, man. We appreciate that. And like you said, working with men of integrity that have a proven track record is,
Yes.
It means more than any actual product you put out. The people you work with are the most important thing. And I'm glad to know you and appreciate your time today.
Yes,
Sure
same
am.
here, fellas.
I'd be excited to go on them turkey hunts now.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
Hey, let's do it. We got plenty of time.
I've been
That's
thinking
right.
about it the whole time sitting on the couch. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yep.
We can do it. We
Yeah.
can definitely do it. I'll be looking forward to it.
Mr. Chad, I appreciate you.
Yeah,
very much.
absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Well, thanks again. Thank everybody for joining. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, like, subscribe our videos. Thank you.